My dear beloved community. This is Katerina Satori, and I wanted to share with you my recent contemplation about freedom and infinite supply of abundance that comes from um, the source that never runs out, and also the balance between gentleness and discipline. And I'll start with freedom. All of my life, my biggest fear that I rarely shared with anybody, was that fear that somebody can take away my freedom. And in the I would say, first 35 years of my life, I deeply avoided any situations or people that could potentially threaten my freedom. So it was a deep pattern for me that I finally decided to sit and look straight into the eyes of that pattern to investigate what was underneath it. And I'm sharing this example because I realized it's a fundamental question that every human being will be asked to answer. And the question is, what is the essence of your freedom, and who can take it away from you? And in the times of unknown, uncertainty, and the change, I love to speak about the change because change is the only thing I can count on. So I've made friends with change long time ago. And unknown to me is exciting. It's not terrifying. But it wasn't like this all the time. There were times in my life where unknown felt terrifying. And there was a fear of somebody can take away my freedom. So what I've been in contemplation is that freedom is your state of mind. Freedom is in your attitude, in your choice to respond to whatever arising in your environment from the place of empowered sovereign choice. And the same way as a scarcity is a choice, a scarcity is a choice. If you deeply contemplate on that, looking back, I remember the times where I had so many resources available to me, and I lived in unconscious scarcity. I couldn't stop working. I had deep anxiety when it would come to taking time off because I didn't feel abundant within. I had access to hugely abundant resources on external, and I didn't feel abundant within. And how it manifested was inability to stop working, inability to receive and to allow a pause in my life. A sabbatical, even the idea of sabbatical was terrifying at that time. And I'm sharing this because it's all about how we see what is happening in our reality. And, there's this beautiful process of noticing what we carry at any moment internally and how we deal with everything that's arising in our reality. I find incredible liberation in knowing that my supply, my resources, they don't come from people. They don't come from the government. They don't come from my clients. They don't come from my business even. No, my supply comes from divinity, comes from the all, comes from the source consciousness. That's where my infinite supply comes from. And a lot of times that supply comes from source through the people, through projects, through my business, but it never comes from clients, from business, from people. So there's, there's a really huge liberation when you see your abundance doesn't come from anything external. It comes through things or events or your business or other people that you serve. And in the times of uncertainty, you begin to question a lot of your deeply held beliefs. And I am really grateful for every initiation in my life because it taught me how to inquire and investigate unconscious fears, unconscious worry, obsessive worry about what's going to happen tomorrow, because tomorrow doesn't exist. It's just imagination of the mind. We only have this moment and this moment and this moment and this never-ending moment. And that moment you can feel with grace, trust, equanimity. You can feel it with connecting with your higher power, connecting with your inner being, connecting with your inner child. Or you can feel the same moment with worry and anxiety, news, right? Concern. So there's always a choice, and our sovereignty is demonstrated on what we choose to feel this next moment. And lastly, I'll share with you how I danced through these times with cultivating two virtues: virtue of gentleness and virtue of discipline. Gentleness is a foundation for everything in my world. And when I fall out of that foundation, I notice that I create chaos in my relationships, in my life. So, when I notice that I create chaos by being, by lacking awareness, by lacking patience, I return to the virtue of gentleness. It's moving through the world like spirit, like a spirit who has a body instead of the body who has a soul. Moving through the world with compassion and gentleness and tenderness, adjusting your tone, slowing everything down. And together with that comes discipline. Discipline is what gives me personally anchoring into this always changing moment. And the more rooted I am with my disciplines, every morning I start in a pretty much the same way. When I wake up, I fill my body with gratitude and reverence for another day to live, to be grateful, to create, to think as a creator, as a sovereign creator, to be of contribution and of usefulness, to be in my joy, pleasure, happiness, ease, absolute trust, to live one day fully, one more chance. And then I journal and I write about what I have learned on the day before. What are my biggest discoveries? What I moved through? What were my biggest lessons? And then I spend quite a bit of time by my devotional altar, and I activate my power, my spiritual power, by chanting sacred sounds and by fusing my heart and my soul with my infinite supply of wisdom, truth, and guidance, which is, for me, it's a great divine mother, the mother universe that birthed us all. And then I gently start my day and I ask, what would I love to create today? What kind of world I choose to experience today? Because that is where true freedom lies. Freedom to choose how to see, freedom to choose how to respond, freedom to choose to act as a creator, no matter what. Thank you for watching this video. I hope it brought comfort to your soul and gentleness to your spirit. And, that perspective that where's your supplies coming from? Because if, in the past where I thought it was coming from others, I never felt free. I always felt dependent on others. And when I had this massive illumination that my abundance comes through others, but it comes from the divine source of infinite supply, I let go of all the cleaning, all the anxiety, and all this hoarding behavior. And I began to naturally be more generous, naturally be more calm, and naturally be more abundant. And that's the freedom that is available to you as well. Thank you so much for watching this video. This was Katerina Satori. If you'd like to learn more about my work, you can visit my Facebook page, Katerina Satori, personal profile, on my website, katerinasatori.com. Thank you. Be blessed.